First rule, I don't believe anything the government tells me. Nothing.
See the curvature of the Earth. That stuff is flat.
Welcome to Bendy SpaceTime's Open Mic Hour. I'm your host, Bendy SpaceTime. All of us have that friend, the oblivious person who we know is being cheated on. We say, "You're getting played for a fool, player." And they say, "You don't understand. It's special." Mark Twain wrote, "It's easier to fool a man than to convince him that he's been fooled." It's hard to admit, but I think my government's cheating on me. I've caught my government checking out other citizens from other countries. She takes them in and offers them things she won't give me. I'm like, hello, I wouldn't mind having some health care. Normally, I wouldn't make my personal life so public. There's no need to parade my relationship drama in front of everyone. But damn, son, if you're American and my government's cheating on me, that means that your government's cheating on you. Do you feel me? We are referred to as the Whore of Babylon. Yeah, I see you normie Europeans out there. Yeah, the relationship we have with our government is good. They take good care of us with the jobs, the taxes, and the healthcare. And I see you loyalists from the Crown Nations. Yeah, Brits get a little emotional when they talk about their government. Oh, I don't know about your government, but the NHS is ace, and my government cares for me. And you Kiwis, I understand why you Yanks are packing a sad. I'd be knackered if my relationship with my government was as dodgy as yours. But yeah, no, we're stoked. Our government's sweet as. Bloody good as gold. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got to take a mandatory anal swab for the allergy. Otherwise, my freedom pass will be revoked. So if you'd like to perform, listen live, and or participate in the pre and after show, join Geo's Earth Awakenings Discord server. This is called vocabulary malfunction. Terrorist. Noun. A person who uses unlawful violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims. The Federal Bureau of Investigation wants me to believe that a vegan who won't eat honey because they don't want to exploit bees is a terrorist because they expose the horrors of factory farming. Or the crunchy environmentalist who drinks out of a repurposed glass jar to save a minuscule bit of natural resources in a society that has made everything, including humans, disposable, likewise is a terrorist for protesting the building of a pipeline. Or the cop watcher who uses what little power the people have left, the First Amendment, to lawfully document public officials in the course of their duties, is also a terrorist. Or the so-called conspiracy theorist that doubts the official narrative is a terrorist because they question that 4 airplanes could crash without leaving a single recognizable piece of fuselage, wing, or tail, or seat, or even one fucking piece of luggage behind. But the drone pilots, who sit safely thousands of miles away, who will go home tonight and hug their wives or husbands and tuck their children into bed before they watch Monday Night Football or Dancing with the Stars. Once every 16 minutes, an airman will unleash a Hellfire missile made by Northrop Grumman and paid for by you at a cost of $117,000. Once every 16 minutes, a hero will guide 18 pounds of high explosives, a metal augmented charge at 1,000 miles per hour, towards tiny figures on a monitor displaying highly contrasted shades of gray. Once every 16 minutes, a patriot will murder farmers working in a field, children being treated in a hospital, or revelers partying after a wedding. Once every 16 minutes, survivors will wail at the loss of loved ones, be traumatized for a lifetime, and hate us not for our freedom, but because we don't let this sad state of affairs distract us from the latest episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Even if they are in flagrant violation of international natural law, even if 90% of their victims are civilians, even if their actions are solely determined by the pursuit of political aims, these pilots are soldiers, heroes, and patriots. My dictionary must be broken. I call this Ode to Proper Footgear. To you good people, advice I give, making your life easier to live. If this simple lesson you would heed, and take to heart the words I read. Guy jaywalks in front of my car. Zombie gate. Hope he's not going far. Fashion sense like he has no girlfriend. His choice in clothing, it's hard to defend. Slide on flip-flops, 3 sizes too small. Crossing the street, his pace just a crawl. The major moral to be learned here: life is easier with proper foot gear. This is called I Ride with Beauty. I ride with beauty each and every work day. Beauty guides our chariot safely and efficiently. Beauty makes my job a pleasure, like no other partner I've had before. Beauty twirls a lock of her hair absently. I steal glances at her while she drives. I wonder what it would be like to hold that hair in my hands, to smell it, nuzzle it, to grip it in the throes of passion. Beauty carries her stress in her shoulders and neck. I can see it while she drives. Beauty squirms and massages the muscles, the equivalent of scratching one's own back. I want so badly to reach over to say, I've got that, and use my fingers to free the knots in her neck. Instead, I go back to updating my resume. I need a new job. Welcome to Bendy Be Spellin', where I riff on the English language magic. In 1972, the Hollies released their 12th studio album, Romany. Courage of Your Convictions is a feisty B-side anthem. The lyrics preach solidarity, but they also reinforce the divisive core principle of an idiom foisted onto the mainstream consciousness. Be brave. Defend your cherished convictions. When opinions or beliefs are strong, they morph into convictions. We internalize these and they intertwine with our egos. When logic or reason conflicts with convictions, we experience cognitive dissonance. We get angry, defensive, and finally stop listening altogether. But convictions, no matter how deeply held, are just opinions or beliefs. Nietzsche wrote, "Convictions are stronger enemies to the truth than lies." A liar knows he is spreading false information, whereas a person with convictions believes they speak gospel. Newsflash, you are not your beliefs, Space Monkey. Be brave. Attack your cherished convictions. Scrutinize and assault them from every conceivable angle. If they hold up, awesome. If they fall apart, more awesome. But wait, Bendy, you just rehashed a dime a dozen Nietzsche quote and played some obscure song. Where's the English spelling magic? Everyone knows a conviction is the act of finding a person guilty of a crime. Nietzsche and the courage idiom use a different definition, a strong persuasion or belief. But conviction can also describe the state of being convinced. Thus, John's murder conviction, the DA's conviction of John's guilt, and the jury's conviction were the result of the overwhelming evidence. The verb convict also means to convince. Conviction in this context means the state of being compelled to admit the truth or the act of compelling the admission of a truth. In other words, your conviction could be the result of my conviction. Try wrapping your space monkey brain around that. Confessions of a Bad Dog Handler. The pent-up energy and frustration is obvious. Today's walk is going to be on the wild side. A bitch in heat, you bounce with excitement and anticipation. Aw, I'm flattered, but really, it's too much. The licking, the nibbling, the mouthing, they show a lack of discipline. Your master does not punish you enough, not the way you need it, not the way you want it. I have no similar compunction to inflicting pain. I know how much you like the discomfort. The metal choke collar is reserved for special occasions, when you've been extremely good. Less likely to leave an incriminating mark, the leather leash is quicker, more elegant. I form a loop with the handle and slip it over your neck. It constricts when you pull. My grip on the leather provides a steady pressure on your throat as you strain at the other end. You buck and ride, the frustration bursting forth at a frenzied rush. You and I both derive a perverse pleasure from the choking and asphyxiation. Straining against my control, your eyes bulge, and it concerns me. I relent, but you increase the fight, encouraging me to choke you harder. Your challenge met, the force increases on your tender windpipe. I struggle to maintain hold of the leash while you lead us to your favorite place to play. Here the real training can begin as I clip the leash to the fence. Now I have both hands free, and you cannot get away. My rewards are affection, stroking, petting, and touching you in ways your man won't. And when you perform at your very best, there is more choking and pain. Your master would not like me smoking here, but then again, he doesn't know what happens on our walks. Finished, I enjoy a cigarette and watch you lay still, the demons inside temporarily quieted. I love the way you glow after this negative attention. We both enjoy the confrontation and the distress. It makes you feel alive. It amplifies the thrill of this brief bout of freedom from the drab and boring life of a bitch stuck in a cold, concrete kennel. I call it the 911-ton elephant. The CIA left their mastodon here. We tiptoe around it, living in fear. Nobody dares to disturb the monster. Blinders on, we choose to ignore her. The only time we acknowledge her rage, when the media invokes in this day and age. But nobody wants to come out and say, why is this mastodon in the way? We are warned of the terror and the hate. To keep us safe, we trust in the state. But few Americans ever see the demons unleashed to keep us free. We ignore the theft and the total graft of those who participate in the craft of waging wars and playing mind games, murdering children in all of our names. Meanwhile, the angst eats away at our freedom. How is it that we could be so dumb? Patriot Act passed with no debate. Right sacrifice, and now it's too late. Rumsfeld declared there were missing trillions, and the very next day, there were murdered civilians. All of the Air Force's strength and brawn, and they couldn't defend the Pentagon? Strange, weird, the coincidence it was. On that day, fighter jets took a pause from protecting the airspace of the Northeast. Ordinarily, there'd be dozens at least. The worst attack in our history, and those responsible for our safety, not one of them punished or demoted. In fact, instead, they all got promoted. The White House fought investigation. They would have preferred if there were none. If not for widows, girls of Jersey, there wouldn't be any inquiry. Bush tried to appoint Henry Kissinger, but the girls said, why should we listen to you? Do you think that we've already forgotten? He works for the family of bin Laden. The committee, by design, set up to fail, so no one responsible would end up in jail. 3 million budget, what a snow job. More was spent on Clinton's blowjob. A list of lawsuits as long as a mile, and not a single one made it to trial. False flags don't happen, a common refrain. To that I answer, remember the main. So if you wake up and manage to see a crime was committed to take liberty and wage wars all over the globe by an evil empire that wears no robes, then maybe you can call yourself woke and see that the media is one big joke. I hope that this you will recognize soon that there's a big ass pachyderm in this room. This is called a rocky gap. They took a break, finding shelter from the cool winds by huddling against a sunny rock. The lingering conversation and closeness with which they sat became a tacit but unspoken admission that they would walk no further. He produced a blanket from his pack, wrapping it around both of them. He'd imagined this moment dozens of times. He'd fantasized about what he would say, how he would place a finger under her chin and admit the obvious attraction to her, complain about his meager sex life, and then emphasize his conviction to stay faithful. They would laugh awkwardly, admit that their friendship should remain platonic, and continue with their hike. He touched her face, looking into her eyes, and prepared to deliver his speech. Before he could speak, she closed the gap between them, leaning in to press her lips against his. He kissed harder, the words forgotten, and his resolve melted from the heat of their passion, which had been smoldering for months. A snow day. So I dialed into. Well, okay, let me start this over. Uh, I used to live in Virginia, Central Virginia, and I worked in a corporation doing IT work, fixing computers. And so one day it snowed about 4 inches and enough to close the offices, right? For them to declare a snow day and, let everybody have the day off. And so I saw it as the perfect opportunity to go in and get some work done. Because, during my normal work day, I was always having people tell me, come here, look at this, help me with that, help me with this. And so I look forward to just going into the office and kind of doing stuff out of the ticket queue without having anybody there to sort of interrupt me. So I got in the car and I drove to Starbucks to get myself a big, tall chocolate mocha. And I got my big, tall chocolate mocha and driving into the office, and I'm very happy. And as I turn into the parking lot, I notice that there's a vehicle following behind me. And I'm sort of surprised he's turning in the same place as me. Um, but I figured, well, maybe it's somebody else that it works there. And so I wanted to back my vehicle up to the door. So instead of I pulled into a parking space that wasn't my eventual parking space because I wanted to into back up to the door. And this guy, and so the vehicle that was behind me just stopped and it didn't keep going. And so it just sat there in the driveway. So I backed up and I backed into the space and I got out and I looked at the car and I thought to myself, oh, this guy must be lost. Like he's going to ask me for directions. That's what's going on here. And so I went to my trunk and I started unloading the stuff out of my trunk. And he pulled up and he rolled down his window. And he said to me, "You didn't grow up driving around in the snow, did you?" And I said, "No, I didn't. But I lived in Colorado for 12 years." And he said, "Well, you didn't learn anything about driving in the snow. You splashed snow on this guy other guy's car and you were following this other car too close." And so I think at this time I was about 30, 31 or 32. And so like 19-year-old me, would have been like spoiling for a fight. I would have been ready to pull that guy out of his car faster than you could say felonious assault. But 31-year-old me with more mileage under the belt had already learned the lesson like you never know who it is you're messing with. People don't really look the way like that's commensurate with whatever their skill level is in beefing or fighting. And so 31-year-old me, I I really the guy really pissed me off that he was saying that and that but the whole situation was weird to me. Like I felt really weird about it, like he could have a gun in the car or something. And because I went about the absurdity of my mind, I was like, wait a minute. So you're saying I splashed snow on this car like back at the Starbucks, and then you followed me here for like a half a mile. You followed me here just to tell me that? And I said that out loud to him. And he replied, yeah. And so then I just said, well, thank you very much. And I went back to unloading the stuff in my car. And, it was like the totally boss verbal jujitsu move to pull, right? To totally diffuse, whatever he was beefing about and he wanted me to come over and do something about it. It was the perfect way to diffuse it. So you would have thought that I would have gone in and I would have been like really happy because I've been really happy before drinking my mocha and, but instead it's put me into a really foul mood for like the next 3 or 4 hours. And I sort of stormed around at work, just mad, saying to myself, how dare that guy, you know, freaking say that stuff to me and just kind of put me in this bad mood. How dare that guy do that? And it took like about 3 or 4 hours before I came to the realization, hey, you know what? Whatever that guy's beef was, whatever problem he had, it wasn't with my driving. It was totally something else. Something else was bothering him. And I was just the convenient target that he could try to take it out on. And so I say if people on Discord are giving you a hard time and they're coming at you too hard, maybe you should think about that and just think that maybe it's not you that's causing the issues there. Maybe it's something going on with them and their problem. So eventually I got back to being in a good mood that day. But, I tried to learn that lesson and, use it all the time now when somebody's nasty with me, rather than taking it personally and getting upset, I just say, hey, man, I hope you have a better day. This is called I Belong. I am only in the service of my queen. In the rare times she needs, she sends out the call. I drop whatever is happening in the moment to go running to her, for in the ignoring there is bliss. I am always so grateful each time we connect. My hands massage and caress her body until she quivers and melts. Our energy flows mutually and so naturally, and it feels so perfect. Like we've been together in countless lives, the bond between us solid and timeless. Today, my queen is manic, and the enthusiasm gushes forth like water from a faulty piece of irrigation tubing. Some unknown timer deep in her subconscious has activated the flow. But instead of a steady drip, drip, drip delivering nourishment to the roots of her well being, the enthusiasm misses the mark and ends up spilling all over the sidewalk and evaporating in the hot desert sun. A steady stream of positive steps she is going to take to improve her life leaves her lips as she furiously organizes her desk. I listen and nod, but don't interject. Her daughter watches silently, not saying anything either, face speaking a precise, frustrated message. I've heard this so many times before. I know the dark side exists. Angry Tara, vengeful Tara, but I've never witnessed the so-called pterodactyl. I only know the loving Tara, the forgiving Tara. Dark Tara is just hearsay. We make plans, and each time I think, this time my queen will allow my service to continue. I think this time our partnership will last for more than a few hours or a day. I think that we can lean on each other for more than just that moment. But you and I are both injured inside, broken by the world, and a relationship isn't in the cards for us. Today I will bask in the radiance that is my unstoppable queen, but tomorrow the dark shadow will appear and the communication will cease. That last text I sent will linger unanswered until the next time my queen is riding high and she requests my presence. I will be there for whatever my queen needs, but I'm always left wondering, am I the cure or just part of the disease? So I call this putting the money in hegemony. War is hell. Expensive, I tell you. Since the tragic day of 9/11, when dancing Israelis had their fun, $32 million an hour, terror war, American power. 768 million a day, and yet the threats never go away. 280 billion a year, but we're still told we must live in fear. 6 trillion spent since that tragic attack, money that's gone and not coming back. Tens of millions displaced, maimed, or dead, but terrorism only continues to spread. The cost in money and lives is extreme. Peace and justice remain but a dream. No one is judged or held to account. The toll of death continues to mount. While the masses continue to slumber, let's discuss some other numbers. We actively bombed 7 countries, while kids in ours find themselves hungry. In 15, we have combat troops on the ground. Out of the media, you'll hear not a sound. In 44 military bases we keep, expanding our footprint, we continue to creep. Level 50 ops, what the CIA calls illegal acts that break the law. In 134 countries, you'll find doing gangster ass shit they do not mind. This unprovoked war, it comes with a cost, and not simply in the lives that are lost. The media tells you they are keeping us free, putting the money in hegemony. And so I guess I think I'm going to kind of wrap it up on that note and just say that Bendy's SpaceTime's open mic hour is always looking for performers. Contact me on Discord or Twitter or be in the Earth Awakenings live stream one stage Fridays, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. UTC. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the show, oh yeah, and I'd also like to thank. I got help last week from Fundy and Shines, and so I didn't thank them in my other video, and I meant to do that. Thank them for helping out, and yeah, to thank Kai and Witsit and what's her face and Shines for the pieces I used this week. And thank everybody for watching. And if you've enjoyed the show, please like, share, or subscribe.
That stuff is flat.